How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K.
Hello.
Mod Ghost.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Reach.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. All right, intro out of the way. Let's get into the questions. First question. This one's from Iron Sleep, who asks, will Resizable mode have an animated login screen like it did previously?
Well, Ian could certainly implement that, but of all the things he could be doing for Resizable mode, that's not the one that's going to be first on my list. So I think we'll go ahead with Resizable mode perhaps without it in the first case, and if players feel once they've got Resizable out there that they want the login screen changed as well, hey, we can look at it, but I don't want to hold up Resizable for it because I want that out.
Right, fair enough. Okay. Next question. This one's from Hurricos, and he asks, can Chaos Runes work with the Magic Dart spell? It's not a terribly powerful spell, he's claiming, yet it requires expensive runes. This will make the Chaos Runes obviously more useful for higher level spells. Thoughts on this?
I don't have many thoughts on that.
You don't really see anybody using the Magic Dart spell anymore.
No.
So it's a fair cause.
No.
It was designed only to work on those particular Slayer monsters, really, just be a magical alternative to the leaf-bladed spear. Thing is, these days Iron Blast is quite popular, but expensive to use. If we update Magic Dart to be able to do everything Iron Blast can do, but really cheap, then that would probably be quite bad for your Iron staff, etc.
Right.
I would, however, like to make the spell more useful against the creatures it's intended to work on.
Okay.
So if you had a substantial damage bonus against those creatures and nothing else, ooh, I'm quite big on the screen, hey, then that might make the spell useful and worth giving use for Chaos Runes without devaluing all the other things.
Okay. Possible cheaper opportunity there with the Slayer Dart. Good idea. Moving on. This one's from Hess, and he asks, can the official client get updated with things like an XP tracker / XP drops?
Can
Yes.
do, yeah.
And we'd like to. It's in fact on the list of future polls.
But we're talking about it today when we could possibly do it, weren't we?
Yeah. Trouble is, it's just not a small thing like putting a right-click option on someone or adding a buy X option to someone else. It's something where we have to actually dig into the top-level interface of the game and tie stuff in and tie into these XP giving scripts, which is why we haven't been able to just knock it off on the side along with all the quality of life stuff. And with other big projects on, like, well, Resizable here, or all the other big projects we've ever had, like the Grand Exchange and Christmas and Zorah, we just haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's important to note that we're not doing it because clients have done it. We're not doing it because we have other priorities. It's as simple as that, really.
And that particular one, since clients have done it, if you really needed it, you'd have had a chance.
Right, fair enough. I think it'd be a pretty unanimous decision to say that it would likely pass a poll
I
of speed
think so.
drops,
I think
seeing
maybe
as
that
they are
might
toggleable. I
be,
imagine.
might be time for our first straw poll, I reckon.
Maybe
Yeah.
toggleable, all right.
Are we going to make Mod Simon work?
We
while
are going to
James
make
is out?
mod, yeah.
Yeah.
Well needed
Make
a
Mod
rest
Simon
after
run
all the
around.
abuse he got last week. And,
What did we straw poll? Like 10 things last week?
yes.
And then there was that Mythbuster stream where we had so many straw polls.
Yeah, every question. Okay, so again, that's just straw polling. Would you like to see XP counters / XP trackers in Old School? So look forward to voting that in a second. All right, next question.
Given that we've never actually polled Resizable, I do hope it passes when we do.
Keep in mind with Resizable, you still can play on the current size if you'd like to.
Yes.
Toggle.
Or a smaller size if you really want to.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It'll have a toggle.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next question then. This one's from Heavy Metal, and he says, first off, I really love Coil. That's the music track when fighting Zorah.
Thank you.
Can we get a counter that shows how many tracks you've unlocked and how many are left, as well as the option to see where the ones are that you haven't unlocked yet? So something on the map showing you haven't unlocked this music track.
Well,
Quite a
the
bit
easiest
of
way to do it would be to right-click on the track and choose Unlock Hint.
Okay.
That's the right-click option, like RS3 had back in the day. Could do that. Fair bit of text, but it's not a problem for us. As for the counter, yeah, the interface is building itself, changing all the things from red to green, so it can also keep track as it goes and stick a number somewhere. Just a matter of finding somewhere to put the number that looks nice is all.
Okay, I think they'd like to see that as well.
For that matter, we wanted counters for the friends list and the ignore list as well, so
Right.
yeah, we could do a big counter update.
That's a pretty substantial win.
Well, that's a relief. I'd feel silly if we'd been promising it all this time and no one cared.
This is. Would you like to see XP counters / trackers in Old School? And that's
89%, yes.
Yeah, 89% with 1,500 votes. Thanks for your cooperation. Again, when these are straw polled, there's just a link there in the chat you can click. You don't need to register or anything like that. Just click and you're done. So there's that. All right, next question. This one's from Jamil, and he asks, can you reconsider the 24-hour trade limit? He says he only plays for a few hours a week, and it's going to take him like a month until he can start trading.
We'll talk about that today, actually, and I think what we're going to start doing, what we're looking at doing, is making it so that only resources will be not tradable for the first 24 hours. What exactly those resources are, we're going through the list now with Weath to get that list together. And we'll also be putting a minimum amount of quest points, so get X amount of quest points and you will be able to trade straight away. Alternatively, wait 24 hours and you'll be able to trade from there. But we'll only start limiting it to what bots are actually doing, so that should hopefully solve things for most people.
Okay. And we're immediately going to jump to a question I had much later on, but since the chat has absorbed it, why not? So, you fixed Paladins and Clay Packs. Why didn't you fix Splashing and Nightmare Zone?
Well, they're very different things. I mean, what we've done with Splashing and Nightmare Zone is we asked you what to do, and more than 50% of you wanted it kept in game. We've got a whole video about this, haven't we, on the YouTube channel, which sort of explains in detail why we did that. So have a watch of that. Paladins was a bug, so that got fixed. That was easy enough. The tradable clay packs, that was, I don't know, it's an unintended feature. I was using it in a way we didn't.
Bug.
Was it a bug?
Was just copying the behaviour of other packs, but it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, there you go. So that's why that got fixed. So yeah, there you go.
Cool. So if you're curious again about Nightmare Zone and Splashing, there are highlights on the YouTube channel. We can assure you that if our answer changes, you will definitely find out as soon as possible. That being said, let's move on. All right. This one's from Butter, and he asks, I'm returning after quitting in July. Is there anywhere I can go to see all of the updates that I've missed?
There's a thread on Reddit, isn't there?
There's a thread on Reddit, or you could go to our announcements forum, and
Yes.
it'll be
Yeah,
quite a
they're on
long
there,
read
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
but there's the announcements forum on the RuneScape official forum where we've posted every update, every patch thread, every would you like to see, every priority, sort of anything that's an official announcement that goes on our front page basically.
That being said, we've also been doing weekly recaps to cover all of the updates, big or small, since I've joined in October. So before then, you got a little bit left since before July, but you know you could catch all of those. Maybe go watch all of the YouTube videos. Maybe. Okay.
Be easier than reading tons of forum posts, that's for sure.
Yeah. Moving on. Next one from the Cyclops, and he asks, can you create a public list of things we're intending to pull sometime in the future? So a little bit similar, but this time future updates. Do we have an exact list that we can show everybody?
Not really. It's a very fluid list as far as there is one. We add things to it, we poll them and take them off again. If we see another good idea on the forums when we're compiling a poll, then we might just take it straight away if it's one we can slip in without bucking up the schedule. So there isn't an official list of things that we are guaranteed to poll and things that we are never, ever, ever going to poll. Right. Unless you count EOC. It's a great list, that.
Like 2 things on it.
Yeah, that and Squid of Fortune. So, no, it wouldn't be an especially useful list.
I mean, we do have the list, but it's not a list with everything on it. So
basically, if we see an idea we like, we'll add it to the list. If we then find another 10 ideas we like, maybe the first one won't get to the top anytime soon.
I think it allows us to diversify as well and shift our workloads, being the team size that we are.
Plus, things that you want now might not be things you want in 3 months' time.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
exactly.
If we were to, say, spend ages coming up with the perfect moment to poll something you asked for today, it might turn out you don't want it anymore by the time we get around to it.
They all want EOC at the moment, according to chat.
If we did expose our wish list, I'd get the impression that it'd be misread, and people would then assume that's definitely we're going to offer you, even though it's still subject to a poll at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't want to particularly have something on there that everyone's against, but we only put it there because a handful of people suggested it, and then have the impression that that's something we're definitely going to do.
Indeed.
Okay, fair enough. Next question. This one's from Oil, and he asks, would you reconsider pulling the shove special attack on the Dragon Spear? He says he feels that it's quite overpowered, and this would help make it more balanced. I think he's looking for more of a delay between the time that you can use the next special attack.
So that keeps going round, isn't it? I mean, it is a pain when 20 people come and shove you around all over the place. I don't know how often it happens or how much of an issue it is. But I suppose, what do we polled it before?
We polled it, it failed,
What
it got 67%.
Yeah, it's pretty far off, isn't it?
Poll 23, question 4, last August.
What day? What time?
Human Encyclopedia.
And the people who voted for and
this morning, so I
against.
looked it up.
To be fair though, I think if your entire team have organised themselves as such that they could... Sorry, I got recovering from a cold. If your team have organised themselves such as that they can do that to you, then that's a legitimate tactic. Castle Wars use it. It's a very, very legitimate tactic in Castle Wars. It works perfectly well there. I think some people do it in the wilderness. I don't think you find everybody doing it. I know there are some clans who do go around and do that all the time, but they're not in the wilderness all the time.
Also, they vote too.
Yeah, exactly.
What it also comes down to sometimes is you see one person standing in multi with, say, their whip or whatever. A team of 30 come by and they start spearing him. What that person tries to do is stay alive. You're not going to stay alive. If you just die, you'll probably die with your prayer on. But if you sit there and try to live, you're going to get smited and lose it. Anyways, that being said, let's go to the next question. This one's from Tom Peak, and he asks, can the merch store sell 99 capes? He says he'd pay a hefty sum for one.
It can, yeah. In fact, I was in a meeting before the meeting we had earlier with the merch store people, and capes is something we want to do. We're probably not going to see capes for many, many months because they have to be specifically made. Anything in the shop is created first and then sold in the shop, so the items do exist. So we need to find someone to make it, or the merch company that we deal with needs to find somebody to make it. They need to make it to the right quality, and there's going to be lots of to-in and fro-in to make sure it is exactly right, because the people who are making it won't be us, so they won't know exactly what you guys want from it. But that's certainly direction we're going in, absolutely.
Size range might be interesting.
Yes.
Well, my idea was, instead of making one that you necessarily wear, you make one which fits on a cape stand, so you actually have it almost like a display thing in your room, rather than I was watching,
everyone has
Chelsea
everyone
Plays?
has a cape stand.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching Chelsea Plays, and when she does her stream, and she has that cape in the background on a stand. And I thought that would probably be the best way to
That's
display.
just not her squat rack.
If I had a cape,
I don't know. I wouldn't know what a squat rack is.
if I had one of those capes, I would so parade round in it. I'm sorry, everyone wants to wear their cape. They don't want to put it off.
See, I've got this academic gown at home, but I don't walk around in it.
No.
I so would. What's wrong with you?
I wouldn't wear a cape outside.
It's not a brilliant idea. Why don't we do like long sleeve sweatshirts as like rune plate bodies and armor pieces? We'd have like trimmed armor pieces, like the Zami logo here. Is that not a great idea?
The only
Don't really need the shoulder pads. Just like a rune plate body as a sweatshirt.
The only thing I want to see inside that merch store is plushies.
That's a nice straw poll about whether
That's just
I
silly.
think it's worth us making the skill cape ones.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think
people
so.
would
So I
actually
see.
genuinely consider wearing them.
I would like to see what kind of numbers we get.
If you do have ideas for anything you'd like to see in the merch store, where should they send those?
Sorry, I wasn't paying any attention to what you're saying. I'm sorry.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
If you do have any ideas for what should be in the merch store, where should you send that?
If you have ideas, I think forums is the obvious place to go. I think there's a thread on the RS3 forums that you can post on where they're collecting all that. Make a thread on our forums if you want to. That's absolutely fine too. Tweet at us, me or Ronan or Gareth will be interested in this sort of thing because you want a hand in making it. Absolutely. Mod Luna, yeah, she's sort of the
Organised
person organising it all. I don't know what Lewis's mod name is. It could be Mod Lewis, might not be.
Which Lewis?
Lewis, the one who's looking after the merch store, whose surname I'm not going to put out.
You mean Louise?
Lewis.
Yes. So if you search Jagex Luiz,
Is it? Yeah.
Okay.
So him, but more importantly, I guess, is talk to yourselves about it amongst yourselves and come up with some good ideas.
Yes, talk to yourselves. Go on.
All right.
Be a first.
On to the first. Oh, actually, we've actually got a straw poll in there.
Ooh, thank you.
You can see that one fly out there. Would you like to see 99 skill capes added to the RuneScape merch store?
I would then ask everybody that voted yes, would you actually wear one? Would you buy and then wear it?
Would you pay
With pride.
£100 for one?
There's sometimes
I don't know how much they'd cost to make. I can't imagine they'd be cheap to be something of decent quality. It's not going to be cheap.
All right.
Sometimes window shopping with certain products is enough. You just know it exists and you're happy. So it might just be one of those situations.
It's like one of those robot hoovers.
Oh, those
Room bars.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, we're
Once you
getting
put
just
your cat on.
ever so slightly off topic here. So let's go on to a big one the chat's going to love. This one's from Emery. Can membership bonds give us the ability to reset skills?
when we get the ability to actually reset skills as a mechanic, then perhaps they can do so in future, maybe.
There is something that I've been talking to Mod Philip about, and it's a big job, is getting the profile editor working, and it's a huge job to do for Old School.
It is reason to complain if somebody says, I've been hacked, they leveled up my defense, whatever, they ruined my account.
Yeah.
That's a valid reason.
I would like to get the ability to remove stats, roll back stats, remove items much more efficiently than what we can do currently. I mean, we can't even roll back stats currently anyway. It's just not something we can do.
I can't noticing the chat doesn't seem in favour.
No, I mean, perhaps probably not from bonds, but at the very least, we would like the ability to adjust player profiles like RS3 can, because there are examples and there are circumstances where APO might accidentally find themselves gaining XP and certain skills they didn't want, or people might have bug abused accidentally or intentionally, where a rollback is a much more suitable punishment to banning them. That feature is something we would actually like to have and we've wanted for quite a while, but it is not a small job.
Yeah.
Whether or not we actually offer that as a service from bonds is another matter entirely.
Yeah. I mean, the problem that we have with, again, rolling back accounts is if you're allowed to do it yourself, we then have to worry about what you did when you got that XP. So if you get yourself to 50 defense just so you can get Barrows gloves and roll yourself back to level 1, then do we take your Barrows gloves away? And then there's every single quest we've got to consider and every single way of leveling up. I mean, would you have got, I don't know, the penance body thing?
Torso?
Yeah, torso, that's it, with no defense, in which case should we take that away from you as well? So it's, it's 101,000 questions to sort of ask about it. It is a lot of questions, more questions than we get through in a live stream, especially when we talk this much. I'll shut up now, carry on.
No worries.
Moving on.
Hint, hint.
All right, next question. This one's from Taupe, and he asks, can you expand at all on the museum? He says he really likes the museum, but there's not a ton to do there. And he was also asking about the possibility of Kudos Island coming with Zaya.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Can you refresh all of our memories for what exactly Kudos Island is?
A long time ago, when Modmaz was working on the Vrock Museum update, the idea was that the archaeologists had built this big barge out by the dig site, and when it was all ready, then people who'd got enough kudos could go with them to an island and dig up more bones and do archaeology there.
Okay. That sounds like it would suit Zaya quite nicely, actually.
It would be probably the most suitable expansion to the... I've lost my bearings. To the museum, actually, because I can't really think of much we can do in the way of content to expand it. I mean, we could put more relics, I guess, in the floors, or put a comp cape at the top of it. I don't know.
Well, one of the suggestion that came in from I have no idea who it was talking about putting archaeology out there when Zaya comes out as well, and that ties in nicely with what the museum can do. And when we did the competition last year, archaeology sort of featured quite heavily.
The dig site has... I mean, the dig site isn't aesthetically pleasing as such. If we were to create a proper archaeological site somewhere on Zaya, we could have bones, proper relics being dug up that you could then ship back to the museum. That would be quite nice.
Yeah, sounds cool. I think it gives people an incentive to go there. The more people we can appeal to and offer different incentives, the more successful the content's going to be, I think. So yeah, that'd be cool.
We could certainly do something like that.
I'm not sure to what extent it would have been tied to prayer. I forget what her original plan was.
Well, we get archaeology suggested as a skill quite frequently, and whilst we probably won't offer it as a skill, we can certainly do something archaeological.
It'll give you a chance to flesh out the lore of Zaya, its history, what it's been doing for the last 5 ages.
Yeah. Okay, so definitely a possibility. Good question. Next one. This one's from Alucard, and he asks, do you think we'll ever see an expansion to Barrows? He's insinuating pets, but I can't imagine that going down too well.
No. Little Barrows, Guthins people running around.
RS3
they'd be adorable.
RS3 gave you bobbleheads, so it was a little Barrows brother with a little bobbly head, which was... And they have a little special thing when you get them all together.
They interact with each other.
I don't think bobbleheads will sort of fit nicely in Old School.
It wouldn't fit our pet theme, that's for sure. And obviously, the way the characters are compressed when they're small, you wouldn't really be able to tell it's a bobblehead. You would just know it's a very small pet with extra large features. It wouldn't really be a bobblehead effect.
I think a lot of people that do other skills that aren't combat related also want their pets as well, don't they? Instead of us just offering more and more boss pets all the time. So it'd be nice to give them something that sort of ties in with whatever skill they enjoy doing as well.
Like you minor golem egg or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Get a little golem walking around.
As for Barrows expansion, though, I mean, Ritual of the Margerat, am I thinking?
Margerat, yes.
Which quest was it that gave us
Acrisay.
Acrisay?
It was Ritual of the Margerat.
It was Ritual of the Margerat. So we could introduce a new Barrows brother / sister /
Ooh, a Barrows sister.
John's.
What are the parents?
Not John's, but John suggested the Barrows' dirty uncle. A topic we sometimes we try to avoid. But either way, we could add more brothers / sisters / whites down there, I guess.
I would like to stick in a Barrows sister just because.
So it would be no longer calling them brothers.
Another
Brother and
Barrows dad.
sister.
So I was thinking, like, you've been killing my children. I'm taking revenge. All right. Okay.
We could do that as an expansion. I know
Next.
RSV has Rots, which is Rise of the Six, but I don't think that's
Right.
basically an entire new Barrows encounter.
Give you a wheelbarrow.
Maybe the thing that gives the Barrows brothers their power, something like that.
Sliskay.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you kind of cursed them.
No.
Okay. Right. Next question. This one's from Chio, and he asks, "Can we get more heads dropped from different bosses? Currently, we have what? How many do we have?
Basilisk, Cockatrice, KQ, KBD.
Would it be worth considering anything like God Wars?
You can also. Thing to watch out for is in POH, the number of variations a hotspot can have is capped at 7 for the hotspots that can have the most variations and 3 for the other ones. So if all the slots are already in use, we're not going to be able to add more heads to the wall, even if the item's sitting around in somebody's bank. So that's just what we've got to watch out for. If on the other hand we had a new room type, we could put more stuff in it and have different hotspots, like the room where you put Zilyana's head or something.
Hunting room.
Yeah.
Call it the game room.
Seems kind of cool because
Not
Zilliana
game
is
room.
more
They've
a
got game
person
room.
than
Do we have
anything
a
else.
trophy room?
She is a bit.
Because they are
No.
effectively trophy. I mean, I know you can mount trophies in your room, such as the stuffed shark and the KBD / KQ / whatever other heads, but I think we had a dedicated trophy room.
You could put your jars in it.
Jars,
Yeah.
Zorah's head,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
one of them.
Zorah would be cool.
Okay.
Or 3.
Moving on. This one's from Death Altar, and he asks, "Will the team have grown at all by the end of the year?"
Yes.
Good question.
Which we're already
Got
trying to
two.
grow it now.
Yeah, we've got 2 people coming, one beginning of June, and then another one which we're currently interviewing for now. So that's QA. I'd expect to see some more people before the end of the year as well. But I will let you know as and when that happens. Keep an eye on the jobs page, and that'll be the first you'll see of them when the job goes up.
Definite answer is yes then. All right. Next question. This one's from Gerp, and he asks, "Can you change the redirection tabs to have the letter of their teleport location on the inventory icon instead of just being, what is it, a T right now?
They do
or
have
even
the
it's just a little,
they do have the letters on them. They're just very, very hard to see.
okay. Would it be worth revising those at all? Also, there was
I
the
don't know
question
whether they
asking,
actually did it for the ones that you get from the scroll of redirection.
But did we
didn't think
not?
so either.
Well, I don't think we had an artist at the time. We'd have found it difficult.
We've talked about this before, and it turns out there are just a few too many cities that all begin with the same letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're on about. Yeah, I understand
What-
now.
what did I get Alfie
But
to
you
do then?
You wanted like a little chip in it, didn't you? To sort of like signify that it's been tampered with. Yeah.
Yeah, that was something else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
So see, every tablet has like an H for home or T for.
We need to maybe one of the
Nothing.
things start
F
doing a
for
notepad
Falador.
down
I don't know why I said T.
there. Make a Jira job. I can do that. That's a quick job.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is.
All right. There you go.
I got Alfie
I'll
to do
make a
something
Jira
similar.
job.
I think Alfie actually did the scrolls. Actually, come
Yes,
to think
he
of it,
did.
it was the scrolls for clue scrolls that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's what we did custom ones
Yeah.
for. I made the Zorah one of those.
All right. Good question. Definitely doable.
You were busy.
Next question. This one's from Dingowill, and he asks, "Can you increase the charge of the crystal bow to something around 4K instead of 2.5K?" He's asking for the same effect be added to the Ceremons tier, as it's currently not really used much. Worth revising either of those weapons?
Could do. This is one of those things where, you know,
I was
it's,
looking at the code for crystal bows the other day. I think it does have scope for expanding the numbers it uses.
Do you think that would affect anything else if we touch those in specific? Obviously, the price of the crystal seed and whatnot.
well,
See what the chat thinks
depends,
about this one,
yeah,
so.
depends why, I guess. You know, if people want, if it makes it more useful, are there better ways to make those things more useful than that?
Well, the crystal bow is now outranked in quite a few classes, and the Ceremons tier is also not really used much.
Pretty sure we've got a lot more flexibility on the Ceremons tier.
Okay.
Crystal bow, I think we can do.
All right. See what the chat thinks for that one. Let's move on.
That's what they want. They want to mod Boaty.
For what it's worth,
That's
we
all
could
they're
even have the player unlock something or achieve something that made it different for different people,
Okay.
just if we wanted to.
All right. Moving on.
The chat also picked up that Matt's not wearing burgundy trousers, he's wearing burgundy shoes.
It's
You
past
are as
Easter,
well, aren't you?
so I put on my burgundy. I actually had to go buy new pegs. You can't buy these in the winter. Just in case anyone was interested in knowing this on shopping habits. By the way, talk about shopping habits. If you go to the store, you could buy a T-shirt just like this from the store. It's currently the best-selling item in the store.
Is it really?
We want to keep it that way. So make sure if you haven't bought one, you go and buy this from the
You pay
Jagged
extra,
store.
you can have that exact one.
Yes, I won't even. I know, but I'll say that.
Don't say that. Right, if you are looking to get any merchandise, Old School or RS3, you can find it on the homepage.
We all shamelessly plugging them.
Yeah, see.
I'm not wearing mine today.
I'm
Just
wearing
wear-
a Runefest
that's
one, you
the-
can't have this.
That's
Yeah,
the
you can't
JMods
buy
one.
those. But
I'm not wearing Jagex stock.
All right. Moving on. This one's from Kelly, and she asks, can we reintroduce the enchanted water tiara to help replace water skins?
What were we considering adding that? Was that Clue Scrolls again? I know that's been on our wish list. I'm sure it was Clue Scrolls that we might
That's
have
what the
considered
minigame
it.
reward shop or something like that.
No, it wasn't Clue. It wasn't us that was thinking of doing that. Sorry, that wasn't our idea. We could do something similar to that. Although, no, actually, yeah, we could do something similar to that.
The funny thing about the water tiara is that the water altar is not in the desert.
No, it isn't.
But we could certainly build it into something else. Prospector hat, for example.
Sorry.
You might reasonably want it for your prospector hat.
yes, you can get a couple of water skins and attach it to the side of the straw.
With straws.
Oh dear.
Okay. So it is possible.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. This one's from Am I Just Moody? And he asks, can broad arrows become tradable in the Great Exchange? As the arrow tips and... Okay, that's it?
Are the arrows themselves tradable? I can't see
I
why
don't-
we'd have made them blocked on the Grand Exchange if they were tradable
No,
themselves.
I don't think they are tradable.
The tips are tradable, which is interesting. But
Yeah,
the
'cause-
arrows themselves aren't?
I
Yes,
there
I
was
think that's
some-
correct, yeah.
Okay.
I vaguely remember, I mean this is from years ago, that it was to encourage fletching from the tips. So they had to be fletched yourself, so there was sort of this reason to do it. That makes sense? Probably not.
I wasn't there for the
The
reason.
chat
Well-
is quite mixed on this one as well.
I'm interested to know for the people who don't want it, why they don't want it.
Yes.
Well, for what it's worth, if the item is tradable, then we can enable it on the GE. If the item is not tradable, then we should probably leave it alone. Because I know that one of the best fletching mechanisms in the game is to buy the ingredients, make the thing, and then unless you use it yourself, it's useless. You're spending money to get the fletching XP, which is why it's considered okay given the rate of XP you would be getting. Of course, we had a slightly lower XP rate than RS3 for it.
Okay. Next question. This one's from eHacks, and he asks, can you make the chat freeze when you right-click it? Would make it a lot easier to report people / filter the chat.
There's an
Interesting
engine
idea.
command that was created for that. Vn recreates it for us, we can do that.
It is possible to freeze the chat.
It would be lovely
Not for
if we
us,
could.
but with the blue engine work, yes.
Okay.
He just needs to give us something that tells us if the right-click menu's open, and we just say, don't keep redrawing the chat while the mini menu's open.
I think they'd like to see that. All right, moving on. This one's from Chocobo. And he asks, so when will you reconsider polling Lootshare? As we do obviously have the Grand Exchange now. Makes it possible.
And also the prices are kind of a lot more stable than they were,
Yes.
a month and a half ago when we started. Lootshare is not something we've ever ruled out, it's just something we haven't got around to yet. Obviously we didn't want to do it straight after the GE for reasons of funny prices, but yeah, we're up for it. But it's going to take a while. I would really like to crack on with Resizable before coming back to more trading things.
Right?
Might be just me, but I don't think it is.
Fair play. I think they'd agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Moving
going to
on.
involve going to every single monster's drop in the game. I think there's quite a few hundred of the things, and editing all the lines that give you the loot, and replacing them with a fairly complicated piece of script, and then writing that fairly complicated piece of
Right.
script so it can be called in all those places.
And Lootshare potential.
Yeah, that's what it's for. We just have to, rather than just giving an item, we've got to update it to track what's being given and who else gets potential. We've got an advantage though, we don't have to use the same rules that RS3 used when they got Lootshare in the first place. See, they designed their Lootshare to work in a game with a trade restriction, and we don't have a trade restriction, and we ain't getting a trade restriction. So we could potentially make Lootshare a lot more transparent than it was before, if people wanted us to. If, on the other hand, they were very happy with the previous nebulous system, then we can recreate that very happily. But we could do them something different if they like.
I think we'll throw that one up on the YouTube channel as a highlight. See what they think in the comments section.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. This one's from ZapF, and he asks, will you bring back the air guitar emote? And he's also asking if we can have a shuffle button for the music tracks in-game.
Yeah, with the guitar remote, I was thinking of doing that with the music cape, if we do a capes update. Just it seems like a better bundle, but if it seems like it's going to be ages until the capes come out, or if we even consider doing them or polling them, yeah, I'll just do it, just because so many people ask for it in these Q&As. We always get it every time I'm on, more or less. So yeah, I'll just get on with it and do the guitar remote if people feel that's the right thing to do. Yeah.
Well, it's not like it's obligatory, so I don't see people having a problem with it passing a poll anyway.
Sure.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yes.
As for the music shuffle thing, there's something I'd like Ian to change about the way the game knows, how the game knows when a track's ended. At the moment, it tries its best guess, and it's frequently wrong. Like if you level up, or you do something that plays a little one-off jingle, then it restarts the music track, but the code that tries to do music looping doesn't know that it's restarted, so it restarts it early or something.
Okay.
If we're going to have a shuffle feature, we really do want to get it right and make it only start the next song when the first one's finished. So if Ian creates that trigger for us, then we can start doing more things than just like shuffle.
All right. Bit more work to be had than it sounds, actually.
Yeah, well, the important thing is that if we're going to make it shuffle, it's easy enough to do the code, but we want it to do it at the right moment, not halfway through the previous track, because they might care.
Sounds right. All right, next question. This one's from Welsh, and he asks, this is an interesting idea. Every now and then we get some interesting ideas we haven't heard before. Could we get random chests that spawn around the world? The location of the chest refers to the type of reward you might get. This could introduce lock picks ranging from iron to dragon. So he's saying you found a chest randomly, spawned somewhere. Say it's an Addy chest, you would need an Addy pick to open that chest and get loot similar to the area.
How long till the chest is no longer there? Does it despawn as well?
I would imagine something like a daily type,
to be fair,
almost like
I'm thinking. I was just thinking D&D. It'd be actually quite interesting if every day, maybe like Shooting Stars, every 3 hours, let's just say, a chest appeared, and when it was found, it despawned after 20 seconds. That would then create, I guess, friends chats or clan chats or whatever.
Okay.
Hunting parties that would go search for it.
How would you say?
Varying loot.
How would people? Well, you'd give them a chat box message, I assume, to say that it's actually spawned. But how would they know how to find their way there?
Well, with Shooting Stars, there was no chat box. You had to go into your POH and use a telescope to see where
still
roughly it was going to land and how long it was roughly going to be before it
landed.
landed.
Still a mechanism in place for them to scale it down.
They could just stumble upon it. Luckily,
we could give them stumble across it, because obviously they, like with penguins, people found out where they spawned. They just didn't know if it was going to spawn there on that particular day.
Okay.
So they would send out groups of people to stand at a spot they knew it was going to spawn at until one of them reported, "Hey, it's here," and everybody else would leave where they were and they'd document it and they'd give it out to everybody.
Also, Shooting Star wasn't random. It appeared at places that had been chosen to be vaguely near a mining spot.
Right.
So there was a hope that someone might have been there training at the time to see it and tell everyone else.
One of the things I've been working on is the why players play Old School. And I got a thread up where people can actually reply to give me the reasons why they play Old School. And one of the things that keeps popping up there is that they like the fact they don't feel encouraged to do daily stuff.
Right.
And that's one of the things that came across, was that they don't like having to, the first thing they log into game, all right, I've got to go and do this, I've got to go and do that, I've got to go and do the other, because they're the daily tasks I have to do all the time. And I mean, looking at the chat and how they reacted, I think they feel that way too.
Yeah.
So, you know, great idea. I don't think a daily idea would probably go down too well with these guys. It doesn't seem, but
right. Some people were also saying, no, that sounds OP. We didn't say what it would give you.
yes.
So it could just give you like some coal or something. Who knows? But obviously that wouldn't be worth your time. So.
But I mean, the concept itself of randomly spawning things that you go and do is something which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we could certainly do more with that. But as a daily thing, I don't think it would quite work for these guys.
If on the other hand, we could let you put your stuff into a magic chest and send it somewhere that you control for other people to try and fight. Pardon me.
Sounds like a quest you once, right?
Yeah,
the Carnelian Rising.
this sounds very familiar, Ash. Did you write one of these before?
Might have done. Yeah. Don't put bonds in it. But we could let people do that as a little community thing.
Yeah.
That's actually a kind of cool idea. At first I was like, that's odd. And I was like, I want to do that.
But yeah, drop party chest as well. We had a drop party chest at one point as well, which we could spawn.
For a short period
People
of time,
could put items in that
Lisa's
chest,
best
and
friend.
then it would just hit the button and it would do a drop party wherever you happen to be.
Yeah, I think I wrote that.
Yeah, there we go then. So yeah, drop party chest. So that'd be quite cool.
It's an interesting idea. Okay. See what the chat thinks of that once they can handle Mod Ash's coughing. All
Sorry.
Right. Moving on.
I'm getting better.
This one's from Fear, and he asks, so there were actually a few comments, surprisingly, quite a few actually, asking if we can do anything to change Castle Wars to make it more active. So we already have, you can teleport there whenever you want, you don't need the dual ring. But they're asking, can helmets be allowed to be worn? So still keep the capes to, identify you.
Sorry, we have a very, very active Castle Wars community. Well, two communities actually, two clans who are very, very friendly with each other, who Castle Wars all the time. They're there constantly. I think we've given them their own world actually. I can't remember what world it is.
334.
334. That's the normal world. They have their own world.
Oh, sorry.
I think it might be 359, although I can't remember. One of them is bound to let me know after the stream. But they actually have their own world where they can invite you to one of their games, and they're playing Castle Wars constantly. So when we generally seek their advice on Castle Wars changes beforehand, because obviously that they are the current Castle Wars community, they are playing all the time, so if anybody else if we change that, we lose the Castle Wars community we've got. Generally, they seem to be against changing anything like putting helmets in, even though that would benefit sets like Guthins and Torags and Daroks. Although if we're changing it means more people might start playing, I guess that's something we could start investigating, and obviously that would be fine, but I don't think changing too many things like that. We've already done Castle Wars expansions in the past. Well, I say expansions, added extra rewards. We've created a Wizard's outfit, a Ranger's outfit. We could look to do more rewards if people want that.
I'd like to straw pull this one if we could.
Yeah, the annoying thing about Castle Wars, it's too darn big to make an instanced area out of. Because of the overground and underground, we can't put all that in one instance, which means that we can't have, say, an option for what kind of Castle Wars game is going to start next, or let people start a Castle Wars game with this rule set rather than that rule set.
Right.
Because what we normally look to do when there's people who can't agree on how they want to play a game is give them the menu and let them choose. But in this case, all we could really do is say on odd-numbered worlds, Castle Wars uses these rules, on even-numbered worlds, it uses those rules. And that's kind of unwieldy.
Interesting.
It's as close as we can get, though.
So I'll throw a poll up real quick asking if you'd like helmets to be worn in Castle Wars. Currently, you have to wear a hood. This will allow for things like Darok sets to be worn, obviously, stuff like that. But while we wait for that and the results, let's ask a different Castle Wars question. So this one's from Cloud Tears, and he asks, so we've talked about Fist of Guthix and whether it's possible, and kind of decided, you know what, not so much right now. He's asking, can Castle Wars get a similar burn and arrow system as Fist of Guthix, to where you get unlimited supply of both, but with reduced XP? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we polled that at one point as well, didn't we?
We certainly did for
combining the two
runes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the deal was with arrows, but since we had just introduced Ava's effect for Castle Wars capes, arrows wasn't such a hot topic anymore.
I don't know what it obviously didn't pass the last time we polled it. I don't know how much by.
A lot of the concern there was that people, if they could do magic very, very easily in Castle Wars, they would, and that would completely change how people fight in there.
That's true. That's a very good point.
At the moment, if you're going to be a Barrows, you're in Castle Wars, then you have to pay for the privilege.
Yeah. I mean, we could do some free runes in there, and you bring the expensive ones yourself, maybe, but that seems sort of a half-assed solution, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're not really even selling too well with just the helmet idea, so I have a tough feeling this one would pass. But yeah, the helmet idea, being able to wear a helmet in Castle Wars, is failing by 35%. So that one, not too likely to pass a poll if we were to actually poll that.
I would look at that and say, yes, okay, some people might be more, might want to play if people were playing Castle Wars, they might enjoy it more, but I don't see changing, adding helmets to Castle Wars would invite more people to play Castle Wars. I think if they're not already playing it, changing something like that wouldn't invite them to play it.
Okay. Next question. This one's from Fife, and he asks, a while back, ModMattK showed us an image of what it might look like if Old School was on Steam. Any news on if this is a possibility or not?
Well, it is a possibility. Not one we're looking at particularly importantly at the moment. There are other things going on as well, but not something that's on the radar at the moment. If it's the right thing to do, we will do, but not at the moment.
Okay. Next question.
Basically, the image I put out, in case anybody was wondering, was I took our online players and compared it to the top Steam games for who was online at that time, and we came in about third, I think, of the sort of most players online for those games, which I thought was quite impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would admit that was a few months back, so God knows what it would be like now.
You know, we would definitely be number one on is hours spent on this game.
Yes, you're not wrong.
We would definitely hold the title for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As with the players. All right, next question. This one's from Solace, and he asks, will we ever have the engine support to support tweening? So, someone want to take us through what exactly tweening is?
Yeah, sure. Tweening, when I create an animation, I won't use tweening because we don't have the ability, but what I will use is 2 keyframes and then find the average between the movements of the skeleton in the animation to create a a third frame from those two. Tweening is essentially an algorithm which says, my hand's here, I want it to be up here, I'm going to create a smooth arc of movement for that particular motion of the body. When I actually create an animation in the editor, I might have to make several movements to my arm to actually get it in the right position. Now if I attempt to use it, like Ash is a perfect example in this. When I actually use tweening, if I attempt to tell all of those movements are already there, all of those pivot points which have been adjusted, they're already there to move in a smooth arc. They're facing in so many different directions, they're just going to go all over the place.
What's wrong with that? Arms do that.
They do that in real life, but not in RuneScape. But yeah, so if I attempted to apply tweening, if Ian was able to create it in the engine to the animations that are currently existing, I'd have to go through every single animation, make sure that it worked correctly, and essentially I could be looking at tweaking every single animation throughout the game, certainly the human-related ones, if nothing else. The way RS3 gets around that is they've got a command on their config to say whether or not they're going to be using tweening on that particular animation. I know that they still go through certain animations, even now, to correct them. They still haven't corrected all of them, there's still some old animations left. So that just gives you a sense of the scale of that sort of job when there's a whole animation team still working on it now. And then there's just me just starting here. I don't think it'll get done anytime soon.
So how many animations have we got?
How many? What in total?
Yeah.
I don't know these sort of statistics.
1,000, 10,000?
I'm busy making new ones.
I don't, but I do know that you made 6 new ones just for players holding a skull for the Clan Wars Odd Skull mode.
Exactly, yeah.
And if there's that many for such a small niche situation, there's probably quite a lot for all the other items.
Yeah,
It's going to be in the thousands.
I would say there's
easily.
thousands, yeah. I would.
Okay. There's that. Moving on. Another one of those interesting ideas we haven't really heard before. These are always good. This one's from Naked Remedy, and he asks, for an item sync, could we force a Slayer Master to give us a specific task? For example, giving a whip to your Slayer Master would say, give me an Abbey Demon task. Now say that task is of, what, 100 or 200 or 300, whatever. You're not likely, well, you might get that whip back, but, I mean, you essentially bought a Slayer task.
You think people would do that?
That's the question.
There's two real questions there. A, do we need an item sync? Debatable.
Well, we invented an item sync for whips. We need an item sync for things that are not whips.
The thing is though, Dark Beasts might be quite a long task, but they're quite good experience. Do I want to pay a Dark Bow for better experience than doing a random task? Maybe.
So it could be more useful for different tasks, but maybe Abbey Demons isn't the best example. It's an interesting idea.
Look at the chat and I'm seeing a lot of no's. But no, again, that's essentially, in some respects, being able to buy your Slayer experience. Because a whip, I don't know how much a whip costs, is it, what,
2.2 mil or so?
2.2 mil, I'm way behind.
Something
How much
like
are
that.
Dark Bows then?
Maybe 500k, I imagine.
100k? If that's expendable for some people, then perhaps you probably could buy your Slayer experience.
Hopefully I'm not off by a lot. I haven't looked recently.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I haven't checked GE for a while.
All right. Right, so interesting idea, but realistically, it would have to be tweaked significantly to obviously not be OP. So, yeah. think on it. Next question. This one's from Ed Hicks, and he asks, will Mod Weth ever join us in a Q&A?
Might do.
He's under the sofa now.
Maybe we have the green screen and he's in a morph suit.
Yep.
Maybe. Okay. Leave that one like that. Next question, again from Ed Hicks. He asks, can we have the ability to move at the same time as the statues in the telekinetic theater in the mage training arena?
Haven't looked through that code. Might be possible. Might not. Worth a try.
Moving on.
All right, moving on. Next
do you want
question.
yes or no?
Next question. This one's from Elfinite. And this was asked a few times actually this week, asking if players can see an item sync for Zorah's bigger drops. So not the smaller ones, just like, the Fang, this Visage, whatnot. Saying that they're kind of dropping in price and they want to see them, rise back up.
We have got the recolors, which should be polled soon, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
In the next one coming up, I should think probably, or if not, the one after that. What I would suggest for those is actually creating an object that Zorah drops to actually create them from the Visage. In my head, thinking up things, I thought maybe we could have a serpentine mutagen, which actually adjusts the tissues found within the Visage. So when it's crafted into the new item, then it sort of like makes sense as to how that comes about, whether it's the magma one or the Tanzanite one. So yeah, I think that would be suitable. I certainly wouldn't like to make it so people can just trade them across and sort of just get it straight away. I like the idea always of driving people back to content that we've released. We've spent all that time on it, why not?
Right.
And also, as well as that, it's just more rewarding for people that actually get to acquire that item. And I think there's a harder method of actually achieving it, so it kind of makes it feel more valuable to them and to other people.
So it would drop this, what was it called?
Oh, the mutagen.
So it would drop a mutagen,
Yeah,
which would
mutagens
give you the ability to recolor your serpentine visage. to
Yeah, a
different color.
mutagen in real life is actually something which changes the biological structure of something. It
Okay.
causes it to mutate.
So it actually makes sense.
Yeah,
This is
it
amazing.
does make sense. Yeah.
And
Doesn't
I
fit
know,
RuneScape at all.
I know that question said bigger drops, but I think we probably should be we probably should look to find an item sync for Zorah scales, because we've recently discovered there are so
I
many
think
of
they'll
those
be in the
game.
game forever.
Yeah, they are the third or fourth most traded item in RuneScape.
That's
Yes.
cool.
I mean, we could certainly change the rate at which they're consumed when using Zorah's weapons and armour. At the moment, it's relatively low considering how fast you can get the items.
Yes, and Zorah does churn those out.
Well, he's a big snake. He's quite scaly, I guess.
Yeah.
Gee. Ah.
Or she.
Okay.
I can't tell. It's a big snake. How do you tell?
Next question. This one's from Eric, and he asks, any chance of a reward allowing us to use fairy rings without the Draman/lunar staff? Doesn't sound so much like a reward, but an ability.
It was an ability that you got as a reward from the Fairy Tale Part 3 quest. So if we just chose a thing to attach it to, we could do it here.
Okay. A possibility. See what the chat thinks of that one.
I'm sure they'd like it as long as we
I'm
don't
sure
attach
they'd
it
like
something
to
they can't do.
say dragon plate bodies all the time, I would imagine.
Dragonplate body and wear bulk up boys.
Yeah.
Duh, duh, duh.
Oh, no.
No, there we
Bulk
go.
Up Boy's off saving the world, as he should do. And dragon plate bodies, should we answer that as we're here?
Sure.
If you want, I think we polled it before. Oh, in fact, we never got around to
No,
polling
we
it
didn't
before,
poll
did
it.
we?
Well, we found before that what they don't want is for it to be a Slayer reward.
Yeah.
So basically, how you want it delivered, and then we can deliver it that way. It's not a problem doing it.
There we
Same
go.
story for the
Thank you very much.
Dragon Warhammers, Dragon Kite Shield,
Yeah.
Dragon Longsword, Dragon Short Sword.
Dragon.
Oh,
Anything
there's a
else?
Dragon Longsword.
Good thing about the from Darude is we got an email saying there's a Saharan sandstorm heading our way. If you have health issues, please be sure not to.
Yeah.
And everybody in the office started thinking about sandstorm.
Yeah, and none of us, it went to everybody, it went to our email, which goes to every member of staff, and none of us had the balls to reply to it with do.
It's out there in the open now.
Yeah.
All right.
They're playing it in the atrium, not atrium, the foyer as you came in, the entrance. The receptionist had it on. Like, good.
Okay. Next question. This one's
Moving on.
This one's from Thies. And he asks, so with Resizable mode, will we have the ability to increase our render distance? That's like a fair question.
Don't honestly know.
You're
Seems
still-
like a good thing if we can do it without the frame rate dropping.
I know that it currently expands the field of view, naturally, and the draw distance is slightly increased. Whether or not you actually gain any benefit from doing that is yet to be determined. So I don't think you're actually going to see players at a further distance.
You won't see players at a further distance, but it would be nice to see buildings and help the ground at a bigger distance than what you currently get.
I think from what I vaguely remember, I need to double check, but we had trouble booting that world last time. I think it slightly does. I'm working from memory here.
Okay. So we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, we're going to look into it very soon anyway, so.
Draw distance is one of the things that affects the frame rate worst, so if we try and find that the frame rate's already starting to drop, we might have to not do it. On the other hand, if your computer can handle it, we might be able to enable it for you.
Well, on James's laptop at the time we were testing it, he had a very, very expensive, very, 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 very powerful laptop, and his frame
This does
rate.
not surprise me.
Yes, and it dropped from 50 to 35. So I think
Quite a drop.
your standard consumer, it's barely noticeable in fairness. I mean, you don't really notice that much change at all, but I think your standard consumer PC is not going to handle it in the same respects that James's did.
We have always been a low-spec game. It's been quite useful that over the years.
Yeah,
And
so-
we've got the drawback that we work in Java in a browser, for goodness sake, rather than using the computer's graphics card to its best abilities, which has its advantages in a sense, because it means we don't have to worry about compatibility with different graphics cards, which was a problem from 2008 onwards, but we are a little more limited in what we can do as a result.
I mean, if it hasn't been done yet, some optimization is required, but we'll have to see. I don't know if that's the best it's going to be, or if there's anything we can do to tweak that.
Okay. There's that. Next question. This one's from Morgan, and he, or maybe she, asks, how did you find this year's Easter event? I guess how was it to be created? Because we're not players. Well,
Well,
being
I played
said.
through it.
Yeah.
I rated it.
There's a follow-up to that question, sorry. Will we be getting something similar, being something new, I imagine, every year now, as this was an entirely new Easter event?
Well, we have in fact exhausted all the old events in the archive. All we've really got left is the fact that in 2005, I think, for Halloween, some zombies were walking around, and if you talk to them, they fell apart. We've got those graphics, which we haven't used yet. Apart from that, we're out of old events. So any new holiday events we will have to design and write for you. I had a lot of fun doing Easter this year. I'm sure the guys would love to have a go as well.
I think he's saying, I really like the event you designed, Mod Ash. Can you make more, please?
Oh. Well, if that's what they're saying, thank you. I like it too.
Yeah. I think it was, do we have any actually statistics memorized?
92.2 thousand people completed this year's Easter event for us.
Wow,
I'm not surprised.
that's good.
That is,
Nearly 100k players?
hang on, I'm trying to work it out.
Yes.
30% of our member base.
Shame we didn't hit 100k.
Yeah, over 30%, no, just under 30% of our member base.
And
So-
1.9 million critters were killed in the post-quest area, so after completing the event, people went back and shot more chocolate creatures, 1.9 million of the things.
Wonder how many million tried to kill that last snakeling, chocolate snakeling, and just gave up and ran away.
I know the chocolate spider gave people some trouble.
Yeah.
There
It
was
was just
one-
moving around, it just was not, okay.
For that matter, the spider thing. Somebody tweeted me saying, it can't be done, there's a bug. So I wrote back, well, I think today was 40,000 people so far have worked out how to kill it. He worked it out for himself in the end. I felt quite bad saying it though.
All right,
Good
next
job.
question. So today we actually saw a couple of cool updates, one of them being an expansion to the Motherlode Mine, the other one being the ability to purchase multiple accumulators from Ava. So this one's from Torwen, and he asks, to add to that, can Ava also sell steel arrows in bulk? This would make getting accumulators pretty much, straightforward.
No, I'm sure it would.
Thoughts on this? She currently sells steel arrowheads, I think, only like a handful or so.
I didn't think steel arrows were that hard to come
No,
by.
I was just thinking, is there a shortage of them in the game?
It's definitely not.
No.
This is simply
No.
convenience, not having to go to the Grand Exchange.
And if
doesn't
there's
want
no
to.
reason not to, then yeah, we can do.
I'm seeing a lot of no's. Few yeses, but a lot of no's.
Doesn't really.
I think obviously Easyscape just popped up there.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not,
it
they're
is.
not hard to come by any means.
Yeah.
And okay, you do have to take a slight diversion, assuming you don't have any at the time you're going to go get an accumulator, to the Grand Exchange or to some Pyres or Drain or Bank to get hold of some, but they're really not hard to get hold of.
Also, you're not going to have to do it that often. It's at the moment, if you go there with, say, a whole bunch of coins and a whole pile of steel arrows now, you can probably stock yourself up in accumulators to keep you going for a good week or two.
Well,
unless you're dying a lot with them.
unless you're very bad at PK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not me, of course.
I don't think it's worth it, to be honest.
Okay. Next question. This one's from, this one is for Mod Ash. That's his name. And he's asking, is it possible to, we're going to get names like that. Oh,
That's a great name.
Is it possible to add in higher tiered non-degradable magic gear that's equivalent to Barrows and Armadillo? Talked about this quite a bit.
It is
before.
possible to add it in. It is a possibility. We're not technically limited for doing so.
I think the
Where
question
we
is-
offer it is the next question. We could look to do a God Wars expansion. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is Nex, which had such similar items anyway.
Mhm.
I don't think that necessarily means we need to do them in the exact same way Torva, Pernix, and Versus was done the first time round. We can do them differently, because obviously those are very, very powerful armours. Whether or not we actually do Nex as a Nex is another question entirely. We could just go in a different direction and do a different boss. We do have that door. That door does exist in our God Wars dungeon, so we can put anything through there.
The toilet.
The toilet or a Guthix encounter, you don't know.
I always wanted to do a Guthix encounter.
Yeah.
But then we thought Zaros would be a lot more epic, so we did Zaros instead.
Zaros definitely has a more enticing ring to it, at least if you look at the sort of order of chaos and power. Zaros is certainly a lot more interesting than Guthix.
Oh, I wouldn't say so.
You see,
So
I've
Guthix
always
is playing
believed
off.
Guthix. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine very few people remember this, but there's a TV show years ago, Harry Enfield and Friends, and he had 3 people in there. And one of the sketches, comedy show, and one of the sketches were 3 brothers who always argued with each other. There was always one brother in the middle when the 2 of them started arguing, going, "Calm down, calm down." I always saw that as Guthix, trying
Right.
to stop arguments in the middle.
So why would you want to kill such a nice person? Gorilla, whatever he is.
Why not?
Just to touch on the next thing there, we did. Well, I have Ash and I have in 2013, I think, actually sat down with Chris L and had quite an extensive chat about the possibilities of Nex in Old School, and we did conclude that yes, it is possible we can do Nex, but Nex set quite an important benchmark in the evolution of combat, as it were, of boss engagements, and if we were to do Nex, it would have to at least be just as good as Nex was originally. So we couldn't take any shortcuts. We'd have to offer Nex as it was or better,
Right.
which is a challenge in itself, because Nex was a very important milestone for NPC boss encounters. So
I think Wooks is up for the challenge.
yeah, so it's where we go from there is quite difficult. Do we do Nex as it was, or do we alter it? But obviously, it would have to be good it would have to be at least what Nex was before.
Right.
Or we could just do something entirely new. We don't have to actually do Nex or any version of Zaros. We could go in a different direction entirely and have different armors instead of Torva, Pernix
Right.
and Virtus. But
For what it's worth, a long time ago, before Nex was around, I was asked to think about what could be through that door, and I wrote a bit of story about some kind of nature spirit who was tricked by a Majrat into doing what she thought would be a Guthix ritual, but ended up not summoning Guthix at all, but summoning some natural force that was not aligned to any god at all, with all the powers of Guthix, but not the reason or the sense of balance. So it's just some great big terrible destructive force in there. Well, in the end we decided we'd go with Zaros for obvious reasons. It's better. I think they may have kept some of the story even, I don't know.
sounds
But-
eerily, as you were saying that, I was thinking of the Balrog, Lord of the Rings. But then the moment I thought of the Balrog, I thought of Virago.
I think the general consensus for this is they definitely agree with something. It's just deciding what that something should be.
Yeah, I agree. There should be something through that door. We should create content for it. What it is entirely subjective.
Frozen toilet.
Although we could ask, as we say, we could ask Brooks. I think he's running out of sort
Things to kill.
of things
He's
to
solo
kill
corp now,
in
as
ways
Iron
to
Man.
kill them. and-
Once he's killed everything with his Iron Man, he just has to
He's
do it
killed-
with
he
his
soloed
his
Corp the
ultimate
other day.
Iron Man.
Yeah,
That's the next challenge for him.
perhaps.
So feedback on that idea. It's a very interesting idea. Please do tweet us or however you want to get in touch with us.
We do like writing bosses, we really do.
Yes.
I think you guys agree. You'd like to see something similar? Okay, that being said, we're coming to a close for the Q&A today. So we do still have a few questions, as we did last week, that will make their way to the next Q&A. That doesn't mean I won't be asking for questions again. This is just a handful. That being said, if I put a bit of a disclaimer when you're submitting questions, please don't send them at, say, 2 a.m. on a Sunday, BST I think we're in now, because I won't be able to read those. People complaining, you didn't ask my question. Just try to ask on Thursdays. That'd be best. Also, if it has, maybe you don't know if it's been asked before. If you see one that has already been asked, maybe reply and just say, that's been asked last week. That would help a ton as well. There's a lot. I'm going to say 80% of the questions asked are repeats. But yeah, that last one was actually really cool. Good idea. Cool.
Awesome.
Any final thoughts?
Yes, buy this t-shirt.
Yeah, that specific T-shirt.
This one.
His.
Up on eBay.
All right.
Smell it.
Aside from that, guys, give the stream a follow if you enjoyed. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Take care, bye-bye.
Bye.